Hey there, you're watching the Son of the Morning Comics channel, and we're here to do another retro review. Now, on Disney Plus, we know that, or at least we think that they're going to be coming out with a show called What If, which is sort of based on this series here. Disney seems to be in a little bit of trouble, though, so you never know what's going to come out and what's not going to come out. Especially with them pushing back all of their releases on movies and TV shows. I'm imagining that their streaming service is going to have a huge drop-off in subscriptions because there's just no new content on there right now. So, like I said, What If Classic. We're not going to go through this whole book. The particular issue that we're going to be looking at is What If the Avengers Had Never Been? Alright, so here we are. What If the Avengers Had Never Been? Got some interesting little dialogue here on the front. Iron Man is saying, "Thor, Giant Man, Wasp, you can't quit now, not while the Hulk and Submariners have united to destroy mankind." So not looking good, hey? So, I'll read what the Watcher says, because he has his little monologue at the beginning of each story. He says, "I am the Watcher. For eons I have dwelt on the Earth's desolate moon, observing and recording the history of this sector of the universe, for such is my sworn duty. Thus, I witness with profound interest the tentative, hesitant origin of the superhero group called the Avengers. Behold again how, in your reality, they met a critical point in their early days." And so you see here, the Hulk is sort of saying, he doesn't need any of them. He's still the strongest and he can go at it alone. Before we get into even further, let's just say this was written by Jim Shooter, penciled by Gil Kane, inked by Kay Jansen, and lettered by Denise W. Colored by G. Russo. Alright, so, we can see here they're having a little meeting about what they're gonna do. They know that they need to find the Hulk. So, they call upon Rick Jones. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Rick Jones character, but that's a story for another day. Don't mind him when he's with Captain Marvel, but that's about it. And you see here it says, with the aid of young Rick Jones, the rampaging Hulk was found in New Mexico. They try to reason with him. It doesn't work. The Hulk then escapes and flees to, a barren part of the Atlantic Ocean. Unfortunately, he runs into the Submariner. And, he says, "I've been waiting for you, Hulk. And you should be flattered, for normally the Submariner waits for nobody." And so, at first they start to, have their little battle. But as is written down below, in their brief confrontation, it comes to a close at a draw, and afterwards they form an uneasy alliance, bonded together by their mutual hatred for humans. So they begin their campaign, and as we were saying, the Rick Jones was able to help them find him here. Now they find him again. Kind of funny how, Iron Man's wearing his old costume here, but he's wearing his new costume here, even though it says here that he's wearing his old costume, and it's the last time you would see it in Avengers 2. But nevertheless, he's still there in the new costume. But whatever the case may be, they challenge these two in the shadows of Gibraltar. So the Submariner and the Incredible Hulk are driven off, but remember, that's in our world, and the Watcher lets us know, but there are countless billions of worlds parallel to your own that diverge from your continuum at critical points. And in these other realities, what might have happened on your world is indeed what did happen. I have windows into these alternate planes. I have observed a world, an alternate Earth, if you will, where the fateful moment of the Hulk's abrupt departure from the Avengers caused a rift, which in turn, several days later, and so then you can see here, Giant Man and Iron Man and the Wasp and Thor are sort of, arguing, like, Iron Man wants to go after the Hulk. Thor's just pissed off. Giant Man wants everyone to calm down, and he does remind everyone that it's strictly a volunteer force, and that they can't stop the Hulk from leaving. And Iron Man's still on it, saying they need to find the Hulk, and then Thor's response is none of us are bound by an oath. That is true. I don't need to be part of the Avengers. And so, Thor spins that old hammer and flies off. And so Thor has abandoned the Avengers now. So now we're down to Giant Man, Iron Man, and the Wasp. And I suppose with the help of Rick Jones. And so, the Iron Man's dejected about the thing. I guess doesn't see the purpose of the Avengers going on without Thor. It's kind of a joke. And Giant Man says, excuse me, hey, the Wasp is still here, and don't forget me. Next, Giant Man mentions to Iron Man how, he knows that it was his idea to start the Avengers and team up in the first place, but he's thinking that, maybe him and the Wasp should also leave as well. They take their leave, they walk away. He says, it's been great, pal, but maybe it's time I stopped kidding myself and went back to being a plain old biophysicist. Iron Man is definitely not happy with this whole situation. He's thinking to himself, I get the feeling they were throwing away something irreplaceable, but what can I do? See, Thor is out back in the cosmos doing what Thor does. So now, all alone in the Avengers mansion, although there's no more Avengers, Iron Man still wants to contact Hulk, and he realizes that he may be able to do so by contacting Rick Jones, who is the Hulk's friend, and maybe he can help. So he contacts him, and, He contacts Rick, and Rick thinks that he can help. And Rick, of course, agrees that, the Hulk is too dangerous to be roaming around, on a rampage. And, it didn't take him long to locate him, and he goes after him himself, which is, of course, a very stupid idea. In his rage, the Hulk doesn't even recognize his friend, Rick Jones. So Iron Man arrives at the coordinates that Rick Jones gave to him, and he gets there and he's looking down at Rick and he sees, why is Rick waving at me? And it's, because the Hulk's about to smash you. So the Hulk smashes him. They get into it. We got a fight between the Hulk and Iron Man. The Iron Man wants to get Rick Jones to safety. And, he says, the Hulk would never hurt me, Iron Man. I just want to help you find him and settle him down before he gets hurt. And so that's interesting. But he says to Rick, we'll find him. All right, but first, I'd better repair this battered armor, just in case he still won't settle down. He's a tough customer, lad. I did my best. If only the Avengers had stayed together, I know we could have captured the Hulk as a team. And I like this. Not true. As we of this reality know, for here the Avengers did fight as a team just as fruitlessly. So, the Hulk, after this, original interaction with the Iron Man, does his Hulk jumping and did take off. And so that's why they're talking about finding him. So the Hulk ends up back in the domain of the Submariner, and of course they go back at it for a little bit, but then, they decide, let's ally ourselves again. And it's kind of funny here how they're both thinking to themselves. Hulk is thinking, I'll string along for a while and then smash him when he's off guard. And the Submariner's thinking, he's too strong, too undependable. When he's served his purpose, I'll destroy him. Both Namor and the Hulk were unaware that the Avengers had disbanded. So, they're concerned about the Avengers. They don't even really need to be at this point. The Iron Man is still trying to do what he, trying to find the Hulk, trying to put the Avengers back together. He's thinking, couldn't tell him the Avengers doesn't exist anymore. He would have interpreted it as cowardice. On the other hand, I'd be a fool not to be afraid of going it alone against the Hulk and Namor, but what do I do? He's referring to talking to Rick Jones. So then he's, doing his thing in his lab when he is visited by Rick, Hank Pym, and Janet Van Dyne, and he shows them that he's made them these iron suits, like Iron Man suits, so, that's designed for their specific abilities and is going to enhance them, give them more abilities, that sort of stuff. And, at first, there is definitely some pushback towards the whole thing, but then they agree to at least try it out. So, here's my question. When Giant Man puts on an Iron Man suit, does he then become the Iron Giant? Because I'm pretty sure that's already a character elsewhere. Anyway, the Wasp is having fun. The Rick Jones is a little weirded out by the whole situation, but then the Wasp quickly realizes that she can't control the suit. She bangs off of Giant Man, off of Rick Jones, and, trouble's a brewing. And Iron Man says, no, you don't have to flap your arms, let the armor do the work. Think, use your head. And so they're all trying out these suits, and, things aren't going so well. But, they seem to be willing to give it the old college try. So, here we see Iron Man saying, damn it, I worked day and night on that armor. gee, Iron Man, and he's just like, shut up. With Stark, he says, I worked all day on that armor. With Stark, all I ask is that you give it some respect now. Let's take it from the top. He says, geez, Iron Man. Then he tells him to shut up. Iron Man's not being very nice. Not that Tony Stark has ever really been nice. So, they start to get used to their new digs, and Iron Man is, they're flying around here a little bit. Iron Man's trying to instruct them. But despite Tony's best efforts, Hank and Janet decide that they've decided to give up the superhero life, and they take their leave. And so Rick is the only one left, and he asks, he's like, can you actually give me real superpowers? And he's like, no. Iron Man's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Then he thinks, oh, well, maybe I can get some help from the Fantastic Four. And then Rick's response is, hey, that would be cool. Good luck with that. So Iron Man realizes that he's going to have to take some drastic measures if he's to do this on his own. So he goes into his lab and supercharges his suit to its theoretical limit of power, which is not a good thing. Only keeping one little bank of power isolated to keep his heart beating, because he needs that in there to keep his heart beating. And he's never felt this powerful before, and he flies off to go and find the Hulk. Then Rick sort of explains to Giant Man and the Wasp that he thinks that the Iron Man is going to do something stupid. And here you can see Iron Man flying in towards the Hulk and the Submariner on Gibraltar. And he shoots the Hulk and knocks him up against the rocks there. And the Hulk comments that whoa, that is not your average Iron Man burst. That hurt more than usual. And he, Submariner goes after him, but he can't quite get to him because he's faster than he usually is as well. So the Submariner says, I have always suspected that you were the most coldly dangerous Avenger, Iron Man. Your supply of weapons seems limitless, and your cunning is legendary. And yet, you have foolishly trapped yourself. And so how has he foolishly trapped himself? And so he tries to jump at him. Iron Man, using his newfound agility in this armor, ducks it, and the Submariner puts himself right through a rock and knocks himself out cold. So, he's aware that there's going to be another ambush coming, and here it comes, the Hulk coming from below, trying to Hulk smash, and Iron Man's evading him, and he realizes that, he does have a limited power supply. He's only going to be able to fight the Hulk for so long, and he's got to come up with a plan. So he sees this sort of boggy water here, and jumps into it, and then the Hulk pursues him, and then he can't get enough footing in order to jump out of it. Now stuck in the boggy water, not being able to get out, he is then attacked by Iron Man, who's got him right where he wants him, and keeps, shooting him with these electric charges over and over again until the Hulk finally collapses. But not so fast, Iron Man, because the Submariner is back up and he is pissed off. He says, few could have accomplished what you have, human. It's a pity your valor has only earned your death. And so Namor grabs a hold of Iron Man and takes him down deep into the water where he's in his world now, where his powers are at their ultimate. And he's going to, as he says, finish this charade. And then he delivers a super dragon punch to Iron Man, who flies out of the water and smashes into the rocks. And you can see we got the Hulk back on his feet. We got Namor there as well. Namor thinks he's dead. Hulk says that, you know, he's still moving. He's alive. And you know, Namor says, and now that my imperial rage subsides, I am saddened. He was valiant. At one point, he had beaten both of us. And so just when they think they've succeeded in their little mission, here come those Avengers. Here comes Giant Man, here comes the Wasp, and here comes the kid. And, you know, you can see Iron Man here. He's saying, I can't help them. You know, he's broken and twisted. You know, more Avengers for them to take care of. So, you know, they battle. They're back and forth. It's, you know, we know what's gonna happen here in the end. We got the two very, very powerful people in the Hulk and the Submariner. But, you know, they're gonna battle. And battle some more. And, I like the way the Hulk says here, so you were always a clown, Giant Man. Maybe you're strong now, but I don't need no tin suit. I'm the Hulk. The Hulk. And then he goes right after him and absolutely, like, just punches him real hard, but, you know, with the, he does manage to evade him a little bit. And, you know, he can negate that speed deficit by taking this giant rock and smashing it over the Hulk's head. And so, here we have Namor, who previously had been hit with a bunch of the Wasp's darts in his face, which were affecting his strength. So he dives down into the ocean, regains his strength, and he has come back up for revenge. Hulk and Giant Man still going at it. Hulk ultimately, you know, lays waste to Giant Man because he's just too slow, and the Hulk is agile and strong and can get him anywhere. And he walks away saying, so much for that clown. The Wasp is very upset because her husband is looking to be dead. And then we see Iron Man, his suit all mangled, thinking victory was in our grasp. Now only Rick is left. What can I do? Injured, can't fight, can't move. And so what he does is he makes his way over to Giant Man and powers up his suit, which brings Giant Man back to life. And then Tony here says, forget about me, get the Hulk before he hurts Wasp or Rick, stop him. And so Hulk and Giant Man are going at it again. And the Submariner, Rick Jones is very much overmatched against the Submariner as he's getting his ass absolutely kicked. But the Hulk remembers, he hears that voice, and he says, that's Rick, that's his friend. So he goes and he saves Rick, and now he's pissed off at Namor. Yeah, we knew that they weren't going to stay together forever anyway. So he's going after that dirty scum Namor, and he wants to kill him for this. So, you know, Namor and the Submariner go at it. And they are sort of fighting it out. You know, they eventually go their separate ways. It's always gonna be a stalemate between these two. Now, you know, you would think the Avengers have come back together, but realistically, Rick Jones is a friggin' nobody. Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne are the only ones left because, unfortunately, while saving Hank Pym's life, Iron Man dies. And with no Iron Man, there can be no Avengers. So, this has been What If the Adventures Had Never Been? So, hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. You can visit me over on Twitter at sonofthemorning7. Gonna be doing lots of retro reviews, lots of interesting stuff until the comic world and the real world gets back into, being normal. See ya.